Hi everyone, welcome back to Runs and Acceleration for our second podcast. We're your friends and hosts Ruhan and Akash.
Yeah, so as mentioned in our previous podcast, we wanted to do kind of a deep dive on some on the two teams that are going to be competing in the World Test Championship, them being India and New Zealand. So in this podcast, we're going to be focusing on doing a deep dive on India, talking about the players. We mentioned about a few of the players in our previous podcast, but we want to just touch upon maybe some of the players that we didn't get a chance to speak about, and maybe some
Yeah.
underrated players that we really wanted to discuss. So I don't know how really Ruhan. I don't know how we want to do this, but I think it's best if we start maybe all at the top of like a batting order like that. We start with the
So how about we
openers.
do this? Let's go
Yeah.
let's go with the Indian lineup first. I'll give
Okay.
you my 11. You can give me your 11 and let's see if
Okay.
we have some players in common. Obviously we will. It's a
Yeah.
15-man squad, but maybe we can then, go more
Mm-hmm.
in depth. So I think for me, um, my openers would be Rohit, and despite a lot of debate after his failures in Australia, I'll go with Mayank Agarwal.
Okay.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
One down, Chiteshwar Pujara, two down, Virat Kohli, three down, Rahane. That team picks itself.
Mm-hmm.
Then Pant at six. Um, gonna go Jadeja at seven, just because
Mm-hmm.
we need his. He's a three-dimensional cricketer, like
Yep.
Ben Stokes,
Yep.
contributes in all forms, so we need him.
Mm-hmm.
Number eight, Ashwin, and then I'd say pick three pacers in Bumrah, Shami, and although this is a close one, I'll pick Ishant over Siraj for the experience.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think my team is I think as similar as it could be. I think for me, my 11 would be probably the exact same thing. I'm going to open, of course, with Rohit, but I'm actually picking Shubman Gill. I'm not going to go with Mayank Agarwal, and I'll tell you that about that after I tell my team. But then I'll go with Pujara. Pujara, of course, Kohli, Rahane. That was pretty standard.
Yeah.
The I I I know we were a little bit talking about this, about like Jadeja and everything like that, but we'll get into that also. So I'm still picking Jadeja on my team. So Pant, Jadeja, and then I'm gonna go with Ashwin, of course, and then my three pacers. I'm actually gonna go with Shami, Bumrah, and I'm actually picking a Siraj actually on my team, just above Ishant. It was so
Okay.
tough for me, but I'll explain
Okay.
myself. So I think the first thing I think I definitely want to get a little bit more into is why Mayan
The
Gagarwal. That's a
openers.
really
Okay,
that's a
I
that's kind of
understand.
heated. That's
I
a
know. I know.
hotly debated
But
topic. Yeah, actually.
but it's about, when you're playing, this isn't a series, so you can't really test out your openers that this
Yep.
guy's going to open in the first test, and, like we did in Australia. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest reason I would pick Mayank Agarwal is against New Zealand. I feel if we want to win, we have to score runs a bit quicker, because if
Yep.
if we just try and block it out, eventually they're going to go a number on us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know Shubman can attack as well, but the biggest thing is the swing. And Shubman has not the best technique against swing. In fact, the home series against England, the few days it actually swung.
Yep.
Shubman really didn't know what hit him, even with an Ollie. Don't forget James Anderson,
Yep.
or Stuart Broad, which is more
Yeah.
the quality
Very
you
true.
will be seeing from the New Zealand attack.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Mayank has had his failures, but let's not forget he has two Test double centuries,
Mm-hmm.
and he's someone who did have a decent IPL before IPL was halted.
Yep.
His high backlift is an issue in places like Australia that it doesn't get down. But in England, the pitches are not as fast. It's more about swinging. And I
Yep.
think he has better control of his blade on where to find the gaps and,
Mm-hmm.
just take care of not edging so much, which is something Shubman does a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, and for just the pure pedigree of the player, I'm definitely going to go with Mayank Agarwal.
Yeah. No, I mean, I completely agree that Mayank is out of this world. I remember when he came in the what was it the 2018 series, the previous one in
Yeah, the
Australia that he
Australia
came in,
series.
made his debut at the MCG. Crazy good. I was like, oh, this guy's short set, But I think one thing I think there's no denying the fact that I think the most impressive player from the Australia series that we just put that India won was I picked two kind of just gems that we found was Shubman Gill and Mohammad Siraj. That was for
Montserrat.
me, that was just amazing. But the thing is with what I've gotten with Shubman is just because I think from an Indian point of view, they usually do like to go very much on current form. I have seen
That
that
is true.
they
That is true.
do like to go on current form, and they sometimes they something they I think they have been accused in the past of oh, give this younger guy a kind of an extended go, and I think they really have found that Shubman Gill not only I think plays as you were saying, he can play an attacking role, but he can also play that role of kind of in a sense consolidating. Let's say if he loses, if because I think Rohit is almost like a sure fit in the team.
Definitely.
If
Definitely.
Rohit goes early, then it's really about establishing a partnership and just trying to develop. But I think when it comes to technique, this is where I have a little bit more of an issue with Mayank. Is I think
Hmm.
as a batsman, when you're looking at him, not the most elegant. Has to be really said. High backlift.
That's true.
It's not the best. And yes, not that much bounce he's going to be getting. But I'm going to be honest. Actually, when I was seeing that Mitchell Stark was bowling, he wasn't getting a terrible amount of bounce. I think it was a manageable amount of bounce for an Indian player. But the problem was the swing. The problem was that especially if it's a left armer that's coming in, like someone like Trent Bolt, that's
Trent
coming in,
Bolt.
sneaking it past his inside his bat. I'm just thinking this is just going to be a probably short-lived match, a short-lived probably match for him. And I think that if India wants to put, I personally think you have advantages, disadvantages with both players, but I think with the current form, I'd still pick Shubman. I think also his confidence is much more up than compared to Mayank. So I'd rather go with the more kind of person who's more ready for the fight, I would say. Yeah.
So then moving on to the next point, and before we go to Siraj, which is the other difference,
Yep.
there's one key point which I think many people will be thinking since it's England, is playing two spinners in England.
Yep.
Because the current series between England and New Zealand, they're playing with four seamers,
Mm-hmm.
and New Zealand has one spinner.
Yep.
England is playing their captain and their best batsman as their spinner, which is really
Yep.
weird, but they
Mm-hmm.
are because they don't have a place for a spinner.
Yep.
So I think it's quite interesting that both of us picked two spinners. But what was your reason, let's say, for picking Jadeja as well as Ashwin over just one of them?
I think for me personally, the spin is one thing, but I think I looked at it from a bigger picture point of view. In our 15, can we actually say that do we feel confident of playing? Let's say if we play whoever we open with, whether it be Shubman or
True.
whoever, like Shubman or Mayank or something like that. I personally think Shubman. Then who are we
We'll
gonna
see.
play at number? Yeah, who are we gonna play at? Someone like at a 6 or 7. Who comes in? That's my kind of thing, and I think that we might not need Jaddu's bowling as much as
Bowling.
as we
True.
need, but the one thing I think that we have noticed is the man is a proper. I even think just I don't even think he's a cricketer. Sometimes he's just like a fighter, just a proper like someone who's
True.
just like what I remember I don't if you remember in when we were in the T20 series in Australia, got hit in the head and everything like that, and just was like, I'm just gonna go play his shots. And sometimes I feel that with Jadeja, sometimes it's just sort of unexpected at times that
Mhm.
he's because he's much more of a bowling all rounder, not a batting all rounder. But now he's coming on and really balancing both his roles, and then of course,
I think
nothing
it's
more can be said about
important
his
to
fielding and everything
highlight
like that.
there.
Yep.
Before the IPL got interrupted, he had a game of games against Royal Challengers Bangalore.
Oh yeah,
I know
yeah,
it's a T20,
yeah.
but his role is kind of similar in the test team that by the time he comes, he's most likely there to add a few quick runs in
Yeah.
a 50 or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, or
Yep.
maybe counter attack if we are down.
Yep.
And he came for Chennai and scored 60 of 20 balls. And in the last over, scored 37 against the best bowler in the league at that time, Harshal Patel.
Yep.
37 runs. Then he comes out and traditional Jadeja runouts, from the deep.
Yep.
His probably the best fielder in the world, definitely,
Mhm.
and also takes 4 wickets. So I know that his wickets might not be the main thing that
Yep.
get him in there. Um, but I definitely feel just having that fielder who can get those runouts, and like we
Mhm.
mentioned in the previous podcast, test match is a game that can change within 10 minutes of a session.
Yep. Mhm.
And sometimes those 10 minutes when the runs aren't coming and the batsman's trying to take some risk or
Yep.
trying to get off strike, can
Mhm.
he be the guy who sneaks in a run out or takes a brilliant catch?
Yep.
And I think he can be, and he can change
Yep.
the game for us from that segment as well.
Mhm.
So I think
Yeah,
it's
no, exactly. No, he's that one guy that I feel who's going to be running in from point that could just pick it up with with one hand and just hit it to the stump, and that could be, I seriously think that the big partnerships are going to be really really important for both teams. But from a New Zealand point of view, they're really looking to get for that one guy to really go there bat deep and really look at those really big partnerships, and it could just be one of those kind of he's that X factor player that you kind of
true.
need. So I think that I think a lot of people see it as a maybe it could be a punt, but I think it's a calculated punt, and it's a proven
Yeah, it's a risk you're willing to
he's got
take.
proven
Yeah.
results, so that's why I think that's good. Yeah.
And I think let's not forget the fact that the Southampton pitch, the Rose Bowl pitch does spin. The
Yep.
last time we went there, I think we lost that game, but that was because in the second innings, Moeen Ali and Rashid started to spin the ball and take our wickets. So
Yep.
it in the second innings we will need our spinners. And I know
Hmm.
Ashwin's a seasoned campaigner and he had a great tour to England last time as well. He's been in a great nick. I
Yep.
think if we have Jadeja to support him and with Jadeja's batting to, maybe extend our batting lineup a little
Hmm.
bit,
Yep.
he has to be there. But now let's move on to the other point of difference we had, which is in the fast bowling department of
Yep.
Siraj over Ishant. Okay,
Hmm.
so my rationale for having Ishant is just because I remember his 7 for 74 against England at Lords.
Hmm.
With his height, he can bounce out players. He has this nagging length he can bowl, and just more than anything, he's played 100 Test matches. He has
Yep.
that experience in him, and he's played against this opposition countless times. He's been on numerous tours to England,
Hmm.
so I think, and he's played county. So I think he can really extract the best out of that wicket, and that's why
Okay.
I would pick him over Siraj. But I definitely think Siraj is a great player,
Yep.
just maybe not for this match.
Yeah. Okay. If in all honesty, I do believe that Ishant will be like in my mind, I do believe Ishant will get picked, but I do have that small I like, you know, I do have that small little feeling that maybe Siraj could just get picked. And I'm purely going off this more just of, he's that guy who just I think every time he's gotten the ball, he's done
Made
something.
something happen.
He's done something happen. But honestly speaking, I really will give it to Ishant. I'm not going to deny that he's a brilliant player. The only thing is the one thing that worries about me. Forget Ishant. All three of the bowlers, Bumrah, Shami, and Ishant, is injuries. Is that if there's an injury that happens in this game, and I I I I think India could the chance of them winning the game would come down
Even saving
quite.
the game, even
Yeah,
saving the game could really go out
exactly.
of the window.
Hmm. Yeah, and the problem is in England is that you're almost telling yourself to you're going to be bowling around 22 to 23 overs,
Dave.
in an innings and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to come like with yourself on that. So that's why it's I just hope that there's no injuries and we can see proper cricket. I think the one thing is, regardless of who the team is, we hate to see someone go out just because of an injury. We want to see each
Definitely.
player try to make the biggest impact in the game. So personally, I feel that the team the fast bowling combination that you were saying is probably going to get selected. I just have a back thought that I think they might go with Siraj just because of um
That could be,
he's got
the
that.
ace in the hole for them.
Yeah, he's got that. He's got that. He's got that kind of that swagger about him, almost in a sense like that.
True.
But no, I think this is, I really do believe that this is a way too important of a game, that they're gonna go with punts and all that kind of stuff
But
like that.
there's another thing I'm worried about from our fast bowlers. It's not just getting injured while bowling. is getting injured while batting because, to be honest, they don't know how to hold a bat.
Yeah, no,
It's pretty sad.
that's
Um,
concerning. Yeah.
some of the people who don't follow Test cricket, or they might not see this because most of the limited overs games we have, India is able to get through the 50 or 20 overs without really getting into the tail
Yep.
almost ever. But in Test matches, when we get to it, it's
You're gonna have to get into the tail. Yeah.
yeah. And the problem with India is that once you're five down, half your side is gone. You pretty
Yeah.
much start thinking, okay, Ashwin gets out, then 10 minutes and we are going to be all out. Because
Yeah.
I've seen Bumrah averages what, 2 runs?
Something
Bumrah's
like
average
that.
is
He's
two.
getting better. He's getting better. He's got a little bit more of a solid defense because he sort
Yeah,
of
but
he scored that 50 in against Australia A, did a few other
yeah.
things like that. I mean, like, he's getting better, but nowhere. I mean, I think that's one thing that's really that could be that difference of those lower order runs for India, is that
And the
if they
reason I
can.
bring up the low order runs is
Yep.
because right now the second test match between New Zealand and England is going on.
Yep.
And just for context, England were all out for 300 batting first, and New
Hmm.
Zealand were 340 for 8.
Hmm.
So they only had a 40-run lead, and they had their two tail enders, including Trent Bolt, come
Yep.
out to bat. And everyone thought, okay, this is the end. Just a 40-run lead, it's not going to be a big difference.
Yep.
Their tail enders had a proper batsman stance, could play a standard cover drive, a pull off the back foot. Trent Bolt hit Stuart Broad for a straight drive, which is
Hmm.
something you see Kohli do.
Yep.
But just the hand-eye coordination, and they were able to get 40 runs more, get an 80-run lead, which is
Hmm.
sizable because after that, England were reduced to 71 for 6.
Yep.
And the game is almost over as, by the end of day 3. And I think that's the difference. And I say this not just because Trent Bolt or the other tailenders like Wagner can hit a few runs, but
Yep.
also if there's a other batsman on the other end, they can defend it out, which I think Ishant can sometimes.
Hmm.
And most importantly, when the bowlers are trying to get these tailenders out, they know how to defend themselves. Whereas Shami broke his elbow, I think, in the
Yeah.
Test match against Australia
So,
because he couldn't
some,
defend the ball
yeah,
properly.
something like that. Yeah. Hmm.
Siraj actually, like, he leaves the stumps completely because he doesn't want to get hit,
Yeah.
and that's because they don't have a technique. So
Hmm.
I don't think there's enough time to work on their technique. They won't have had that much time,
Hmm.
but maybe just some basic things on how they can protect themselves almost at the
Yeah.
crease.
I think the most important thing is going to be also the gear that they're just going to come up. They really just have to come up with the most protective gear. Sometimes I just feel if they could put a pad over each and every kind of limb and every part of their body, that would be the best.
Gladiator.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're going to war almost. Yeah, but like, no, it's they got to take care of themselves when they're batting. I think they have to
Yeah.
be frank with themselves that we're not here to we're gonna do our best to score as much as we can, but it's
But
we
just
know
hang
that.
in there.
Yeah, let's just hang in there. Let's try to frustrate them a little bit more. That's really only our job. Yeah.
True.
Hmm.
Okay, so I think now might be a good segue into the New Zealand team.
Yep.
It's one
How,
that's had a lot of changes.
yeah, exactly. How about I go first this time? I'll give my 11
Let's
and
go.
then you can give your 11, okay?
Okay.
So I've gone in with Latham and Devin Conway to open. I think that was I think that was going to be expected
Yeah.
because of Conway and everything, scoring big runs. I have read and I've been reading. I think Williamson looks like he's going to be fit for World Test Championship. I think it'd be a
Definitely.
massive. I think it'd be almost like a tragedy if he didn't get to play. That would be really, really bad.
Not for us.
Yeah, yeah, not to India, but they'd be celebrating. But no,
No,
I mean,
but yeah,
if you're just a cricket lover and everything like that, as we
you
are,
want to see him play.
you
Definitely.
want to you want to see the best going up against the best. Four, I've gone Ross Taylor. Five, I'm going Tom Blundell. Six is my X factor. I'm going with Will Young. Seven, BJ
Oh,
Watling.
okay.
Seven, BJ Watling. And then I've gone with Jameson, Bolt, Wagner, Southey.
Hmm. So you're not playing a spinner then.
No, I'm not playing the spinner because I think that
Interesting.
no, because I think Santner is like the something he cut his finger or something like that.
He
So I
cut
don't
his
know if
finger, yeah.
I don't know if he's gonna be fit. But I mean, if not, then I would take out Will Young and put in and then move up Watling and put in Santner at like 7 or 8,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay. So I think again, some of the main players stay the same, but for me, Latham has to open. He's one of the best openers in the world right now.
Yep.
With Conway because Conway is having a great run.
Yeah.
Scored another 80, I think. So
Hmm.
following his double century. One down, Kane Williamson. He should be fit. That's why he's not playing the second test match.
Yep.
Um, Two down, Ross Taylor showed a lot of fight. Didn't have a single 50 in the last 15
Yep.
innings he played, but a great fight shown from him against the best swing bowlers in Anderson and Braun to survive that and score a quick 580. So
Hmm.
again, he has to be at four. And very important to note, he's been a pain in the back, let's say, for the Indian team
Yep.
for years. Whenever they've come to India, he's scored centuries. Whenever we've gone there, he's smashed
Yep.
our bowlers all over
Hmm.
town.
Yep.
Um, so the biggest threat for us, I think, more than Williamson is Ross Taylor.
Hmm.
Um, Nick Young, I know he's great, but I'm not going to pick him. And I'm not going to pick Blundell either. Reason being,
Oh.
Watling will be six. Five. I'm actually going to go with Degrand home.
Okay. Oh,
Degrand
okay.
home
Okay.
because he has that, the nagging length doesn't
Hmm.
bowl. He doesn't have much pace, and for shot makers like the Indian batsmen, it can get very annoying when you have to generate your own pace. And we've had problems against Degrand home.
Hmm.
So I know that shortens their batting lineup, but then at then I'll play seven, just four bowlers, but I'll add an additional bowler in Ajaz Patel, the spinner. So four seamers, one all rounder, and one spinner in Ajaz Patel. I know again, batting's really short, but I think
Mm.
if their batsmen are in the form they are, their top five should be able to get them anywhere around 250. And I think the difference there is that they almost till Trent Bolt at number 10, you can count on every one of them to score at least a 20. And that gets
So
them to the
yeah.
350 mark
Mhm.
almost.
So are you gonna say the Granholm bat at 5 or Watling bat at 5?
Depends on the situation. You can
Hmm.
interchange them. If
Okay.
it falls early, then Watling. If not, then you send in DeGran home. And
Okay.
the main reason, again, more than just the runs, is the point of taking 20 wickets of India,
Yep.
getting India bowled out twice. Because I
Hmm.
think if they go with that lineup, maybe I've gone in with one extra bowler, but I think it's really important. If you
Yep.
want, instead of a DeGran home, actually not DeGran home, if you want, you could play Nick Young instead of a Saudi
Yep.
because Wagner needs to be there.
Will Young. Will Young.
Yeah, Will
Yeah.
Young, sorry.
Hmm.
Will Young needs to be there instead of a Saudi
Hmm.
because DeGran home, Wagner are two players of the very same kind and they're going
Yep.
to be troublesome for us. So them,
Hmm.
Trent Bolt and Matt Henry's been really good. So I'd
Yep.
pick
Interesting. That's a really interesting team, actually. I think the thing with I actually don't mind it for some reason. I don't know. I think the more I think about it, it's not as bad as I think, but I
Thank you.
I still feel like you pointed out the batting is way too that is cutting it way too
I
short.
know.
I think if you can get one batter at 5, that's why I think still Tom Blundell. I still think that they kind of have to.
No, then I'd play Nick Young instead. I
Mm,
saw both of them play.
yeah.
Will
Will.
Young.
Yeah, Will. Yeah.
Will Young he has a good technique against the swinging ball, which is going to be
Mhm.
key.
Yep.
Blundell wasn't able to manufacture anything. He was able to hang in there, but didn't really score any runs.
Yep.
And even when
Mhm.
the tail was, when he was batting with the tail, he couldn't really enforce anything.
Mhm.
So I think Young has that ability. That's why I'll pick him. So yeah, okay. If you
Yep.
want that, maybe instead of going with just De Grandom at five, we can play Nick Young at five, and Saudi can sit this one out.
Yep. The one thing I will have to say is that when you look at 5, 6, and 7, as much as I really like Will Young, I still think that when it comes to World Test Championship, from a New Zealand point of view, and just from a general team point of view, I think people generally like to pick more experienced teams, and I think that's something that I've I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot from, they like when it comes to the final kind of crucial moments, you kind of back the more experience, instead of, you're kind of instead of, someone like a Will Smith or someone like that. But that's where I think, if
With Young.
yeah, Will Young. Why I say Will Smith? I now I'm getting confused. I was thinking it's a Will Young. Okay, let's get this guy. Let's get his name right. Will Young. Okay, no, with Will Young, it's just I think he should play, purely because I think that they can play him. But the only thing that worries me is that, if you just put him in, in that 5, 6, or 7, Watling's is a decent batsman. He's a very decent batsman. But, is he the guy who's going to go and score a massive 80, 90? Most likely not. He's really only going to be there for about a 30, 40, if anything.
But
So
then
that's what.
over Blundell, wouldn't you pick Henry Nichols for the fact that he's also a left-hander?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But they've also got Latham and Conway opening it up. As two
I
left-handers.
know, but down the order, someone who's
Yeah,
a lefty because there's
yeah,
no
that's
Santner.
that's yeah, that's true. That's also not a bad option. Yeah, then maybe instead of Blundell, then um sorry, who sorry, I completely lost the name
Henry
again.
Nichols.
Henry Nichols. Yeah, Henry Nichols. Yeah, Henry Nichols. Yeah, then I think that would be better. But I personally think that where I think your team might be a little bit off is where it's you're leaving out Southie. I personally think that Southie, both Wagner and Jameson are in my opinion like four things that I really don't see them changing it up really, because it's number one, it works, and it's also a bowling attack that will frustrate India a lot. I know that. You've got two guys that are going to be swinging the ball a lot. One guy gets a lot of bounce. One guy who's just going to be putting in that one area that entire time. So it's things that I like from going up against India's batsmen. You know, knowing India's batsmen, they can counter it, but it's I mean, no batsman likes a nice swinging ball like that,
True.
especially because they're using the Duke's ball also, so
Duke
it's
ball.
yeah, so that's also gonna be swinging for quite a bit, and then reverse is gonna come apart, and I think the one thing from India is that I think that they would definitely be hoping for is that just that little bit of turn, that comes, and
Yeah.
really that would be more for not really just really that they can counter it, because if it's turning a little bit more, that's actually better for their batsmen, not necessarily for their it's a great advantage for their bowlers, but if it's going to be turning, then they can counter a little bit more. Yeah. Mhm.
That's true. The reason I didn't pick Saudi, and it's very much the same reason you had this feeling back of your head that Siraj should
Mhm.
play over Ishant. It's like that. Because I saw Matt Henry is someone who's been around for a while, but he's not played a lot. He's played
Yeah.
20 odd test matches. He's always been like the fourth pick, but he just took 3 for 14 in his first spell against England in the second innings. And what I saw from there was no one could really pick him. And because there's not a lot of video on him, because no one's really
Mhm.
focused on him, he could be that X factor because he does have that extra height.
Yeah.
And the thing with England pitches, as they go on, it's important to note when they start turning, they also start having uneven bumps, like
Yeah.
they are in the second test match against England.
Mhm.
So when someone has that height, like Ishant does in our team, it helps when you're pitching the ball in the same area that you get more than one thing and not just swings or sometimes seams, but you might just get one that jags back, maybe because of a fault in the pitch or
Yep.
just stays a
Mhm.
bit low.
Yep.
So I think that's why, and Southey has been known that he can have some great spells, but he also has some spells where he just really goes
Yeah.
for 5, 6 runs and over. So
Mhm.
I think for that, it's that X factor thing again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one thing also where I think it's kind of tough to place it in like the team that I'm playing in, but the one player that I'm really liking because we're watching, this England versus New Zealand has been Ajaz Patel. I think he's
Definitely.
been I think one thing I've been seeing is that sometimes spinners, they get into that kind of mindset of they got to bowl fast,
All fast.
they got to bowl fast, they got to bowl straight, and sometimes it's I think Ajaz Patel is just is maybe looking at it from a different point of view. It's like, let me try to. It's sort of really like it's almost like, kind of the basics of spinning of like spin bowling. Bowl like using your flight. He's getting actually on an English wicket. He was getting a little bit of turn, a little bit of turn, and also using that arm ball really really well to the batsman. And also I think that was good because the English batsmen when they
The
were coming
Indian,
up
yeah.
against India, they really struggled with that arm ball. So I think
Not
good
to
tactics.
not to forget that some of the Indian players also struggle against the arm ball.
Yep.
Pujara's had a problem with the arm ball. Rohit Sharma has a problem because he normally goes for the slog sweeps and the arm ball seems to get him.
Mhm.
So I think those are two players again who are a bit at risk.
Yep.
And whoever the opener is, we're gonna have to find out on the 18th itself.
Yep.
So I think, guys, that's it from us.
Hmm.
We've had, the teams we have. I think India is, we all feel there's quite a few players that pick themselves. New
Yep.
Zealand will be more of a wild card, and
Hmm.
let's not discount them. It's going to be a very tough match.
Yep.
Whoever wins, or if it's a draw, I think it'll be on merit.
Hmm.
And all the best to both teams. We'll be looking forward to watching this match and
Yep.
coming in front of you again soon with another episode. So
Yep.
thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you on our next episode. See ya. Bye bye.